you will have your pens and paper ready because she's going to talk to you about the great balancing act that is our premier business.
All right, thank you. Well, I am excited about being here, and I am thrilled that all of you took time out of your busy schedules to come today. So whether you're a guest here today for the first time, you're a new jeweler here, or maybe you've been a jeweler for a while and you're just kind of like in that deciding factor of, can I keep life all together? Can I get a hand? Is anybody busy in this room? Over there, 100% of you are. I bet you can raise your hand. I think if you're breathing, you're busy. All right? And so one of the things that I want to do today, and Amy and Kelly had asked me to talk to you about this, was it is a balancing act. And how do you feel like you can keep life going and all those plates spinning without making any of them fall down? Do you ever feel like that? I know exactly what you're feeling. I can be spinning a lot of plates at the same time, just like you are. But how is it that we can work Premier and really have a balanced life of home, relationships, and ministry? Because you see, I believe that Premier should be a part of your life. It should never encompass your entire life. Because we all should have an opportunity to go and be a part of a Bible study or a fun bowling league, or if you like bunco, or have a group of friends outside of Premier. Because you know what? It will create more balance. But the one thing I want you to realize is balance is not equality. So if you're thinking balance like a teeter-totter, you have to adjust your weight so that you don't tip. Remember doing that on the playground? You know, get in front of the bar, get behind the bar, lean forward, lean backward, and you're like, woo, how long can we keep it like this before somebody moves just enough and your end comes crashing down? And you know, we don't want that. I don't want you to think of balance in that way whatsoever. What I want you to think of balance in a way is, I want you to think of it as purpose. I want you to think of balance as choices. I want you to think of balance as a way in which you are going to look at your life and decide not only what you say yes to, but why you say yes to whatever it is that you're doing. Because if you're a woman, we can do lots of multitasking, can't we? You know, I remember when our kids were little and I would leave and go to a show or leave our kids in front with Mel. You know, typically if he was playing with the kids, he was playing with the kids. And then for a while, I'd come home and the house looked like a disaster because men can't clean and watch kids and the dishes all at the same time. So, you know, I kind of would get frustrated when I would come home. When I used to teach children's education, the kids would all be in bed, but the house would look like a disaster. Well, because he was playing with them. So we kind of got him in the routine of when the kids go to bed, then you got to like pick it up. So it really did work over time, and that was a really good deal. But you got to figure it out. So how is it that we can create this balance in our life? Because we don't want Premier to be pushed out of our lives. Do you know that when your life is out of balance, you will get rid of the most stressful thing, the hardest thing, or the most frustrating thing? Okay? We don't get rid of the things we're enjoying. We don't get rid of the things that we like. We don't get rid of the things that are making us feel good. We kind of like will push those things out of your life. So for example, if right now you are in a booking slump and you have a choice as to whether or not to get on that telephone and call for bookings, or your girlfriend calls you and says, hey, let's go to the movies, you're going to be like, bookings, movies, bookings. I'm going to the movies. Because it might be too hard to do that. You know, so what we're going to do in talking about balance is we're going to be talking about how you and I can build and work a balanced business within the busyness of life. All right? Let me tell you what Proverbs 14:1 says. A wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears it down. Think about that. Are you building your house? Or do you have your hands in so many different activities that your house is crumbling down around you? You know, women are wonderful. We can do a lot of things, but we're not Wonder Women. We can't do everything. So if we're going to create that balancing act and have Premier be an enjoyable part and a great fit in our lives, then we have got to know what that's going to look like. And everybody is going to look differently, okay? If you're a stay-at-home mom and you still have little kids running around your ankles, it's going to look different than my life. I'm not a single mom. I am an empty nest mom. I've been married 31 years. Not single. But you might be a single mother. You might be a single mom. You might be working full-time at another job or part-time and being a mother. So what does that look like for you as a person in Premier? Okay, so just because I'm telling you this, I don't have a formula. You're going to have to do a little figuring out. But I think you'll be able to figure it out when you run it through some of the stuff I'm going to tell you today. So number one, what is the first thing that I think you need to do in order to create balance is you've got to believe that what you are doing in Premier matters. You have to. Because you know what? There is a truth saying that says this. If you believe what you're doing, you will do it. If you don't believe what you're doing, you won't. Seriously. I can talk to people all the time about their belief in Premier. And yet I look at their activity and it's nothing. Don't tell me you believe in Premier if you're not doing Premier. Because you will do what you are drawn to the most. And so you know what? Why did you get into Premier? I don't know why you got into Premier, but I know why I got into Premier. And because I knew why I got into Premier, to pay for Rebecca to go to college, to be able to get out of credit card debt, to be able to stop working at a campground and cleaning toilets, I knew that in order for Premier to work, I needed to work Premier. And did I always want to work Premier? No. Was Premier always easy? No. But I never lost my purpose into why I decided to do Premier. And you know what, ladies? You cannot forget your why. Because if you do, you'll stop working. Premier only works when you show up to work. Okay? The next thing I think you need to do in order to create balance is you have to adjust your activities. You cannot say yes to everything. There's going to be a lot of good things that come your way. But every time you say yes to this, you have to say no to this and this and this. And it might even be saying no to your children. It might be saying no to your husband. It might be saying no because you've got your yeses out there. And so as moms of children, seriously, if your Premier business is a serious matter of income for you, you have got to be careful as to how many activities you say yes to. So you've got to adjust your activities because doing the right things in the right way will always equal the right results. Okay? So you've got to keep that in line. If it's important to you, I read this quote today on Facebook. I'm not a real Facebook junkie, but I was happy I got on when I did. And this is what a quote said. If it's important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. Let me read that to you again. If it's important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. Are you an excuse maker when it comes to working your Premier business? Oh, it's so nice outside. I can't waste this beautiful weather. It might not be around very long. I live in Michigan. I'm going to go out and enjoy the weather. I'll work Premier later. Ladies, if you were working in an office, would they say to you, oh, it's a nice day. Take the day off. Go ahead. Don't worry about it. No. You have got to plan your work and work your plan, and you've got to learn to say no. Control your calendar. You know, that was one of the things that my Premier mom taught me early on. And because I knew what I needed to do in Premier, I knew that home shows were the heart of our business. But I also knew that I didn't want to be away doing jewelry shows 5 nights a week. So I knew in my head, I want to hold 2 home shows a week. I planned out 2 jewelry shows a week. Some weeks I planned out 3, planning on the fact that at least 2 or 3 were going to probably cancel or postpone because life happens, okay? Life happens to you, life happens to our hostesses. So I knew I would do shows Mondays, Tuesdays, or Thursdays. Now if you're a girl who says this, I don't want to do jewelry shows on the weekend. And all of a sudden the girl goes, can you do jewelry shows on Friday night? And you're like, inside, I want to do a show on a Friday night. I don't want to do a show on a Friday night, but I got to get a booking. If I don't get a booking, then I'm not going to. And all of a sudden we get into this panic mode. Sure, I'll do a jewelry show for you. So you schedule her out, and she does a jewelry show. Oh, the girls come, they're having a great time, and you ask, hey, Katie, would you like to do a jewelry show? And she'll go, sure, I'll do a show. I like a Friday night. Oh, I really don't do Friday nights. She's thinking, here on a Friday night. What do you mean you don't do shows on Friday night? Well, I just made an exception, for Mary today, and she's thinking, am I not worth the exception? So you've got to decide and confidently say, I would love to do a jewelry show on a Friday night, but I just can't. I can do you on Thursday. I would love that. And one of the best ways to protect your calendar is you need to write something in that date so it's not sitting there empty. I don't care if you write down your great Uncle Joe's birthday. She doesn't know who that is. She doesn't know if you have to go to a birthday party. But I'll tell you, if that gal comes to your jewelry show and she sees a blank square, she's going to want that date. And if you don't want that date and you compromise, then you really have to realize that you're going to have to give other people that date as well. So control your calendar, but make sure that your calendar doesn't control you, because you've got it so packed that you don't have what we call downtime. Okay? So that's an important thing for us to do. Now, the next thing that I think that you need to do in order to create balance in your life, ladies, can you ever write down a list? Make a list. Because the thing that I think about is we got a lot of stuff going on in our head up here. And I know that we've got some awesome melancholies in the room. If you're a melancholy, give me a whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, that's about as sanguine as they get. And so, but they are list makers. Sanguines are the fun ones. They're the party people. They don't even, they write a list and can't find where they put it. Okay? But these melancholies, man, they got a list and they like to check it off. But we can learn from those melancholies, because what's good about a melancholy is they know where they're going. And they can actually visually see progress, because they didn't not only write it down, but they accomplished what they had written down. The problem with several of us, we don't write anything down, and by the end of the day, we don't think we did anything. We just have no clue what we did. So if you can get yourself, even the night before you go to bed, and you are going to be working your premier business, I want to challenge you to make a list of the things that you absolutely should do the following day in order for you to continue to grow and develop your premier business. Now, please don't put 20 things on that to-do list, because it ain't happening. You got to put down your top 5 things on and I would categorize it like this: must do, should do, could do. I must do these 5 things tomorrow before I lay my head on my pillow in order for me to accomplish the most important task. And then the should-do list will be also sort of important, but you know what? If I don't get to it tomorrow, I can probably transfer my should-dos to my must-do for the next day. And my could-dos, I could get to this today, I could get to it next week, it's not that big of a deal, but eventually I need to get that done. So you can be rotating things at all times. One of the things I love about a melancholy is all of a sudden they do something and they remembered it wasn't on their list to do, they'll write it down just so they can check it off. You do that, don't you? And it gives them a feeling of satisfaction. Woo! So you've got to write a list. Because you know what it does for me? Is it makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel balanced. I can filter stuff through my list when somebody comes to me and asks me to do something else. Okay? Now, I'm not so stuck on my list that I am like, no. But at the same time, I have to ask myself, if I say yes to this, will I accomplish all that I need to do in order to work my business? Remember why? For why I got into my business. Okay? Filter it through. Filter it through. It's okay to say no. And you know what, ladies? Saying no now doesn't mean no forever. Do you know that? It's okay to say no. No is a very healthy word to say. It really is. And we ladies have got to get used to using that word, no. I love Melissa Terrell. I hope you all come to the roundup, because she's going to be there. She's the sweetest thing you'll ever find. She is a strong melancholy. She is very relational, and she can do this business unlike anybody I know of. They have the largest downline in all of Premier. And when she was raising her children and they were building their Premier business, she was asked always, when you're very effective and very efficient, you're always asked to be on everybody's committee. And so she always felt guilty for telling people no, because she liked to help out. She had the gift of helps. And so she learned that she couldn't do everything, so she had to learn how to say no. So she would always filter it through her purpose for doing Premier, her family, and was it a part of what they needed to do in order to build the business. So when she was asked to do something, listen up. This is what you're going to say. You know what? Thank you so much, Katie, for asking me to do that. You know what? I'm going to think about that, and I will let you know within 48 hours what my decision is. Okay? So that's what she'd do. She'd step back and she would reevaluate it through her purpose of Premier, her family circumstances, and whether or not this was going to be a part of fulfilling that. If it wasn't, this is what she would do. She would contact Katie within 48 hours, like she said she would, and she would say this, Katie, thank you so much for asking me to be a Sunday school teacher to 3-year-olds, but honey, I just can't do that right now. She didn't give her an excuse. She didn't think she had to explain why she had to say no. And then sometimes she would say, you know what, why don't you ask me that again sometime down the road, but right now it's just not going to work for me. She said it with a smile. And you know what? Okay, you move on. You see, saying no on the front end will give you lots of opportunity to say yes over here. I said no to a lot of things early on, but I can say yes to a lot more things now. So, keeping that in mind, okay? Okay, most people typically get out of balance when they don't know the direction they're going. Life gets out of balance, that's why it's important. Another way to keep yourself in balance is admit when you need help. You know what, gals? There is nothing wrong with getting help. I don't care if it's a cleaning lady. I don't care if she comes in every other week. I don't care if it's a yard person. You need to hire a homeschooler to come in and watch your kids for a little while. You want to have a teenage girl come in and help you with some office works like stamp catalog, pack hostess packets. Get people to come in. If you're going to be a leader in Premier, you have got to learn the art of delegation. Why not start learning to delegate now? Blessing somebody else. Because again, you can't do everything. Get your kids involved. Our daughters, Rebecca and Melissa, when we started in Premier, Rebecca was 16 and Melissa was 13, man, they were my right and left arms. They would do a lot of stuff for me. And you know what? It was awesome. I didn't realize I was preparing them to be jewelers someday, but they did. And so, but we worked this out together as a family. Watch out for time wasters, okay? Watch out for that. Do you know what a time waster could be? Words with friends, hanging with friends, TV, People magazines, you know, anything that is going to draw you away from working your Premier business at prime hours. Watch out for those time wasters. You know what? The best thing you can get if you're like a real TV reality show junkie is get TiVo. Because you're not making phone calls after 9 o'clock. You can sit and stamp catalogs and watch The Biggest Loser if you want to. I don't care. But don't watch television and be a part of this stuff when you can either be actively involved in your family's life or actively involved working in Premier during prime hours. So watch out for those time wasters. The next thing is when you feel your life out of balance, never quit. Never quit. Because most people quit when it gets hard. I've had a lot of people quit Premier. You know that? They quit. And you know when they typically quit? When it got hard, or they forgot why they started Premier. They forgot their why factor. They stopped believing that Premier can work. Galatians 6:9 says, do not become weary in well-doing. For in due time you will reap a harvest if you don't quit. You know what? There are days that you're going to feel like quitting. Because it's hard. There are days when you're going to get the phone calls and postponed or canceled shows. You're going to be talking like I did today to a prospect on my way up. I was 95% sure she was going to become a jeweler and she bought a travel agency, and I went, a travel agency in this economy? Yeah, she's going to help people book cruises. I'm like, oh, seriously? You know? But that's what she decided to do instead. I was shocked, to be honest with you. You know? But that's okay. I'm just going to regroup, and I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to do the Julie Colburn. SW, 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 SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Okay? Don't get hung up. Don't find yourself in a pit and then dig a deeper, pick up your shovel and dig a deeper pit. Listen, Premier is the vehicle and the ladder to get out of your pit. Surround yourself with people like this. Get somebody to come up alongside of you. Don't go and suffer in silence. Come We are a family, and we need each other to stay in balance. Stop dwelling and living in the past. How many of you in this room can change your yesterday? Not one of us, can we? But why is it that so many of us in this room keep living in our yesterday? Keep living in our failures. Keep living in our regret. Keep living in our mistakes. You know what? They don't define you. They don't. Because if you're a child of the King, you've not only been forgiven, you've been redeemed and cleansed and given an opportunity to make a whole new difference as long as you face forward and just keep on walking. Free. Wonderful. So don't quit. Next thing that you need to do to create balance is this, is you need to commit to being consistent. Consistency is the key to your business, okay? You have got to be consistent. This is the hardest way to work Premier. 1 show a month. 2 shows a month. Do you know it is harder to work 2 shows a month than it is to do 2 shows a week? Do you know that? So for you gals who get into Premier and just want to do it 2 days a month, you are welcome to do that. But I'm telling you, you have it harder than the girl who does it 8 times a month. Because you know, if you do it, think about this with me. I'm just going to do 2 shows a month. That's all I want to do. I just want to bring in a little extra cash. Well, this is what happens, that little extra cash. You don't know what you did with it because it got gone real quickly. You have a show on the 7th. Great. That's going to be going really good. And the next show you're going to do isn't until the 24th. Okay, awesome. You get a phone call on the 22nd, and she's got to postpone her jewelry show because there's death in the family. She's got to go out of town to Pennsylvania. So that show on the 24th gets canceled or postponed, and she's not going to reschedule until January. Do you know your next show next month isn't until the 17th? Now you've gone from the 7th of this month to the 17th. That's 6 weeks without income. You don't know where your jewelry is. You've lost it by now. It's all about. You can't remember how to do a show. Because it's been so long, you start getting hot flashes like I do. Do you know that I've been in Premier 15 years? I know how to do a show with my eyes closed. I've done over 950 of them, but I'll tell you what now, my worst show I do is the first one in January. Because I haven't done a show for about 3 weeks, and I am a wreck. And I'm like, serious now, Joni, get it together. Well, I'm trying to find my jewelry. I can't find it. It's all over the house. You know, so you've got to maintain a consistent business. You've got to consistently book jewelry shows. You've got to consistently go to trainings. You've got to consistently call your upline. If you're not connecting with your upline, you are missing one of the greatest parts of your success in Premier. You've got to commit to sharing Premier. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little while, why it's so important to share the gift of Premier with somebody else. You've got to do it. Do you know, ladies, that we're feelers? When we feel like working, we work. When we don't feel like working, we don't work. You know something? Your feelings can change in a phone call. Your feelings can change in an instant. Your feelings can change when it's just that time of night. Premier never changes. If you're going to be successful in Premier, you've got to work Premier whether you feel like it or not. Because you know what? When you choose to work Premier, even when you don't feel like it, you are going to grow in maturity and you are going to grow in confidence. Because you know what? Oftentimes if I decide, I just don't feel like doing Premier, I'm not going to do it today. I'll do it tomorrow. Do you know that typically you will regret making that decision? And it's harder to do Premier tomorrow than if you would have just pushed through your feelings and had done it today. So stop making excuses. Stop working in your weaknesses. Start developing your weaknesses, and you watch them turn into some of your greatest strengths. And the last thing that I want to encourage you about balance is this. When you put all of this together, you are going to be equipped for success. You see, we are on a journey in Premier. Premier isn't just about a formula of 1 + 1 = 2. Premier, everything is going to go back to why you do Premier. Why you do Premier. Not why do I do Premier. If you don't know why you do Premier, guess what? You won't do Premier. You've got to keep that why factor in front of you all the time. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. God is the God of balance. He holds the whole universe in his hand, including your life, your relationships, your premier business, and he will never let you down. Never. He has got such a big plan for you, and some of the biggest part of his plan is what we as his children learn in the valleys. It's what we as his children learn when it's hard. It's what we as his children learn when he's teaching us to get back in balance again. And you know what? I love the fact that the very first words in the Bible are this. In the beginning, God. In the beginning. Guess what? There's a new in the beginning with God every single day. Every day. Every day you wake up, I want you to remember, a new in the beginning with you, God. A new opportunity to serve you. A new opportunity to use what you've entrusted to me to bring you glory. So as you look at all of those, and you wrote them all down, I want you to see that we just spelled the word balance. In order for you to keep your life in balance, I want you to realize you have everything that you need. You just have to apply. Thank you.